Welcome to Nowadays. We are going to have a look on today's news relevant for various competitive exams. Subscribe our channel for daily news and don't forget to click on bell icon. The first news is regarding economic survey for the financial year 2018-19. The Union Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman tabled the economic survey 2018-19 in the Parliament. Each year, a day before the presentation of the full-fledged annual Union budget, the country's chief economic advisor releases the economic survey. However, notwithstanding the close proximity of its release with the Union budget, the economic survey is not exactly a predictor of the budget proposals. It is a very important document because it provides an authoritative, detailed and official annual summary of the current state of play in the Indian economy. In the past years, the economic survey has been presented in two volumes. Volume 1 focused on research and analysis about the challenges, both contemporary and long-term, facing the Indian economy. Volume 2 provides the more descriptive review of the fiscal year, encompassing all the major sectors of the economy. The highlights of the economic survey 2018-19 are: sustained real GDP growth rate of 8% needed for a $5 trillion economy by 2024-25. Survey departs from traditional Anglo-Saxon thinking. Dwarfs, despite being more than 10 years old, account for more than 50% of all organized firms in manufacturing by number. As data of societal interest is generated by the people, data can be created as a public good within the legal framework of data privacy. India now stands at the 4th in the wind power, 5th in the solar power and 5th in the renewable power installed capacity. A macro view is: growth of GDP moderated to 6.8% in 2018-19 from 7.2% in 2017-18. Inflation contained at 3.4% in 2018-19. Non-performing assets as percentage of gross advance reduced to 10.1% at end December 2018 from 11.5% at end March 2018. Current account deficit manageable at 2.1% of GDP. Fiscal deficit of central government declined from 3.5% of GDP in 17-18 to 3.4% in 2018-19. India's Sustainable Development Goal Index score ranges between 42 and 69 for states and between 57 and 68 for UTs. Kerala and Himachal Pradesh are the front runner with a score of 69 amongst other states. Chandigarh and Puducherry are the front runners with a score of 68 and 65 respectively among the UTs. India's external debt was $521 billion at the end December 2018, which is 1.6% lower than its level at end March 2018. The source is PIB. The next news is about privilege motion. A MP from West Bengal has moved a breach of privilege motion in the Lok Sabha against a private news channel and its editor. What is a privilege motion? Parliamentary privileges are certain rights and immunities enjoyed by members of Parliament, individually and collectively, so that they can effectively discharge their functions. When any of these rights and immunities are disregarded, the offence is called a breach of privilege and is punishable under law of Parliament. A notice is moved in the form of a motion by any member of either house against those being held guilty of breach of privilege. Each house also claims the right to punish as contempt action which are offences against its authority and dignity. Rule number 222 in chapter 20 of the Lok Sabha rule book and correspondingly rule 187 in chapter 16 of the Rajya Sabha rule book governs privilege. It says that a member may, with the consent of the speaker or the chairperson, raise a question involving a breach of privilege either of a member or of the house or of committee thereof. The rules, however, mandate that any notice should be relating to an incident of recent occurrence and should need the intervention of the house. Notice have to be given before 10 am to the speaker or the chairperson. The speaker or the Rajya Sabha chairperson is the first level of scrutiny of a privilege motion. The Speaker or Chairman can decide on the privilege motion himself or herself or refer it to the Privilege Committee of Parliament. The source is The Hindu. The next one is about Central Welfare Database of Citizens. The Economic Survey 1819 pitched for setting up a Central Welfare Database of Citizens by merging different data maintained by separate ministries and departments. These recommendations come at a time when India is working on finalizing its personal data protection policy. The principle is that most data are generated by the people, of the people, and should be used for the people. This database can be tapped for enhancing ease of living for citizens, particularly the poor. The government already held a rich repository of administrative, survey, institutional, and transaction data about citizens, but these data were scattered across numerous government bodies. Merging these distinct datasets would generate multiple benefits with the application being limitless. The government could utilize the information embedded in these distinct datasets to enhance ease of living for citizens, enable truly evidence-based policy, improve targeting in welfare schemes, uncover unmet needs, and integrate fragmented markets. This will bring greater accountability in public services and generate greater citizen participation in governance. The datasets talked about inclusion of administrative data such as birth and death records, pensions, tax records, marriage records, survey data such as census data, national sample survey data, transaction data such as e-National Agriculture Market data, UPI data, institutional data, and public hospital data on patients. The source is The Hindu. The next news is about new Code on Wages Bill. The Union Cabinet has cleared the new version of Code on Wages Bill, which seeks to define the norms for fixing minimum wages. It will be applicable to workers of organized and unorganized sectors, except government employees and Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act workers. It will amalgamate the Payment of Wages Act 1936, the Minimum Wages Act 1948, the Payment of Bonus Act 1965, and the Equal Remuneration Act 1976. As per the bill, the minimum wages will be linked only to factors such as skill and geographical regions. At present, minimum wages are fixed on the basis of categories such as skilled, unskilled, semi-skilled, high-skilled geographical regions, and nature of work such as mining. These are applicable for 45 scheduled employments in the central sphere and 1709 scheduled employments in states. This is expected to effectively reduce the number of minimum wage rates across the country to 300 from about 2500 minimum wage rate at present. A national floor level minimum wage will be set up by the center to be revised every 5 years, while state will fix minimum wages for the regions which cannot be lower than the floor wage. The current floor wage, which was fixed in 2017, is at Rs 176 a day, but some states have minimum wages lower than it, such as Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, which is 69. An effective minimum wage policy is a potential tool not only for the protection of low-paid workers, but is also an inclusive mechanism for more resilient and sustainable economic development. The simple, coherent, and enforceable minimum wage system should be designed with the aid of technology, as minimum wages push wages up and reduce wages inequality without significantly affecting employment. Source is The Hindu. The next news is about India's contribution for Palestine. India has pledged to contribute $5 million in 2019 to the UN Palestine Refugee Agency. India voiced concern over the agency's difficult financial situation due to voluntary contribution from a limited donor base and called for ensuring sustained fiscal support for its work. This contribution is a mark of India's solidarity with the Palestinian refugees. United Nations Relief and Work Agency for Palestinian Refugees. Created in December 1949, The United Nations Relief and Work Agency for Palestinian Refugees in the Near East is a relief and human development agency which supports more than 5 million registered Palestinian refugees. These, along with their patrilineal descendants, were fled or expelled from the homes during the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, as well as those who fled or were expelled during and following the 1967 Six-Day War. It is originally intended to provide jobs on public work projects and direct relief, but today United Nations Relief and Work Agency for Palestinian Refugees provides education, health care and social service to the population in supports. Aid is provided in 5 areas of operation: Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, the Gaza Strip and the West Bank including East Jerusalem. Aid for Palestinian refugees outside these 5 areas is provided by UNHCR. The agency currently serves 5.4 million Palestinian refugees, which is 20% of the world's refugees. Source is The Hindu. The next news is about Jagannath Rath Yatra. Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeted people on the occasion of commencement of 9-day-long Jagannath Rath Yatra festival. Rath Yatra is a Hindu festival associated with the Lord Jagannath held at Puri in Odisha. It is regarded as the oldest Rath Yatra taking place in India, whose descriptions can be found in the Brahma Purana, Padma Purana and Skanda Purana and Kapila Samhita. This annual festival is celebrated on Ashada Shukla Paksha Dvitiya. The festival commemorates Jagannath's annual visit to Gundija temple via Mausima temple near Balagandi Chaga, Puri. The source is All India Radio. The next news is about annual piracy report. According to the International Maritime Bureau, West Africa's Gulf of Guinea became the world's most pirate-infested sea in 2018. West Africa's Gulf of Guinea has become the world's most pirate-infested sea with 72 attacks last year, up from 28 in 2014. This year so far it has recorded 30. Elsewhere, piracy is in decline. Between 2014 and 2018, the number of incidents each year in Southeast Asia fell from 141 to 60 and to just 3 of Somalia, which is in 2017-12 faced this century's worst piracy crisis. The International Maritime Bureau is a specialized department of the International Chamber of Commerce. The IMB's responsibilities lie in fighting crimes related to maritime trade and transportation, particularly piracy and commercial fraud, and in protecting the crews of ocean-going vessels. The Bureau was founded in 1981. It is endorsed by the UN's International Maritime Organization and has observer status with the Interpol and a Memorandum of Understanding with the World Customs Organization. The next news is on tax on online giants. In France, the lower house of parliament approved a small, pioneering tax on internet giants like Google, Amazon and Facebook. At present, the digital companies pay nearly no tax in countries where they have large sales like France. The bill aims to stop multinationals from avoiding taxes by setting up headquarters in low-tax European Union countries. The bill foresees a 3% tax on the French revenues of digital companies with global revenue of more than 750 million euros and French revenue over 25 million euros. The French Finance Ministry has estimated the tax will raise about 500 million euros a year this year, but that should increase quickly. The tech industry warns it could lead to higher costs for consumers. It could affect US companies including Airbnb and Uber, as well as those from China and Europe. A similar tax was introduced by India in 2016. Source is Times of India. The next is about Mosaic Mission. Scientists from 17 nations will take part in the year-long Mosaic Mission as they anchor the RV Polarstern ship to a large piece of Arctic sea ice to study climate change. The MOSAIC mission stands for Multidisciplinary Drifting Observatory for the Study of Arctic Climate. Studying the impact of climate change on the Arctic and how it could affect the rest of the world is the objective of the mission. In a couple of months, the German icebreaker ship RV Polarstern will set out for the Arctic packed with supplies and scientific equipment for a year-long mission. They will anchor the ship to a large piece of sea ice and allow the water to freeze around them, effectively trapping themselves in the vast sheet of white that forms over the North Pole each winter. Scientists from 17 nations will take part in the year-long mission. The mission has received funding from US institutions such as National Science Foundation, the Department of Energy, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and the NASA. Source is The Hindu. The next news is about a gene named NAPRT1. After 18 years of research, Indian and Australian scientists in a collaborative effort have identified a new gene directly linked to schizophrenia. Researchers from University of Queensland Schizophrenia Research Foundation led by R. Thara in Chennai spent 18 years analyzing the genomes of more than 3,000 Chennai residents and their families. This study identified a gene called NAPRT1 that encodes an enzyme involved in vitamin B3 metabolism. It is directly linked to schizophrenia. What is schizophrenia? It is a chronic and severe mental disorder that affects how a person thinks, feels, and behaves. People with schizophrenia may seem like they have lost touch with reality. Source is The Hindu. The next news is about Great South American Eclipse. On July 2nd, people in South America congregated near the La Silla Observatory, operated by the European Southern Observatory, to witness the so-called Great South American Eclipse, the only total solar eclipse of 2019. A solar eclipse happens when the moon passes in front of the sun and casts a shadow across Earth. It is also known as occultation. A total eclipse happens when the dark silhouette of the moon completely covers the intense bright light of the sun. Only the much fainter solar corona is visible during a total eclipse, which is known as a totality. Total solar eclipses are rare, happening only once every 18 months. About the La Silla Observatory. La Silla Observatory is an astronomical observatory in Chile located at the outskirts of the Chilean Atacama Desert, one of the driest and the most remote area of the world. It has 3 telescopes built and operated by the European Southern Observatory. The observatory is one of the largest in the Southern Hemisphere and was the first in the Chile to be used by European Southern Observatory. Source is The Hindu. Thanks for watching. The PDF of detailed news is given in description. Subscribe our channel for daily news and don't forget to hit the bell icon. See you tomorrow.